My name is Autumn. Standing here at the lake house, now transformed into the headquarters of the Leo Thompson Foundation for Environmental Innovation, I'm flooded with memories. 6 months have passed since that fateful day when everything changed, and I'm still coming to terms with the journey that led me here. It all started with the reading of my grandfather, Leo Thompson's will. I never expected that this event would shatter the illusions I had about my family and reveal the true nature of the people closest to me. My family, the Thompsons, were a well-known upper-class family in the city. My parents, Victor and Isabella Thompson, were obsessed with social status and appearances. My older sister, Lily, was their golden child, following their every wish, attending the best business schools, and networking with the elite. I, on the other hand, had a passion for environmental science. From a young age, I was drawn to the beauty of nature and the importance of conservation. My parents saw my interests as a waste of time, constantly telling me that I needed to be more like Lily if I wanted to succeed in life. But Leo, my grandfather, was different. He was a retired venture capitalist who had made his fortune through smart investments. He lived a simple life despite his wealth, always emphasizing that true value lies in the purpose something serves, not its price tag. During my college summers, while my parents and Lily traveled to exotic destinations, I would spend time with Grandpa Leo at his lake house in the mountains. We would sit on the dock, fishing and discussing topics ranging from climate change to ethics. He always encouraged me to follow my passion, telling me that the world needed more people like me who cared about its future. However, when Grandpa Leo was diagnosed with terminal cancer 2 years ago, the dynamic in our family shifted. My parents and Lily suddenly started visiting him more often, bringing expensive gifts and offering to manage his affairs. I knew their motives were not pure, but I continued visiting him as I always had, bringing homemade food and spending quality time with him. 3 months before he passed away, during one of my visits, he took my hand and said cryptically, "Autumn, remember that timing and patience are key in life. True wealth isn't measured by money." I didn't understand what he meant at the time, but looking back, those words were prophetic. After his passing, the funeral was a grand affair, just as my mother had planned. It was more of a social event for her to showcase our family status than a time to mourn. A week later, we received notice to attend the reading of the will. My mother went on a shopping spree for the perfect outfit, Lily canceled her important meetings, and my father started researching estate tax implications. I just wanted closure, a final connection to the man who had truly understood me. At the lawyer's office, the atmosphere was tense. The lawyer, Mr. Harris, began by making some smaller bequests. Grandpa had left generous amounts to his favorite charities, his long-time friend Mr. Johnson, who received his classic car collection, and to his housekeeper, Mrs. Rodriguez, who was given a life estate in the guest house. Then came the main distributions. My parents were bequeathed his primary residence in the city and his vacation home in the tropics. Lily was to receive a trust fund worth $6.9 million. And then it was my turn. To my granddaughter Autumn Rose Thompson, Mr. Harris said, "I leave the sum of $1." The room fell silent. I felt the blood drain from my face as I tried to keep my composure. To make matters more mysterious, I was also given a sealed envelope to open after the reading. My mother let out a short, sharp laugh, saying, "Well, that's expected. You've always been a disappointment." Lily looked uncomfortable but still held onto the satisfaction of her inheritance. My father just shook his head. But then Mr. Harris announced that Grandpa had prepared a video to be played. In the video, Grandpa first thanked his friend Mr. Johnson for his honesty over the years and Mrs. Rodriguez for her kindness. When he addressed my parents, his tone was measured. He said that my mother, Isabella, had always been ambitious and my father, Victor, was dedicated to their chosen lifestyle. To Lily, he congratulated her on her inheritance, but also warned her to use it wisely. Then he looked straight into the camera, and I felt like he was looking right at me. "Autumn," he said, "you see what others miss. Remember what I told you about timing and patience. True wealth isn't in dollars. He then explained that he had arranged a series of tasks that needed to be completed before the full terms of his estate could be implemented. Any attempt to contest the will would result in the entire estate going to the Leo Thompson Foundation for Environmental Conservation. After the video ended, I decided to follow Grandpa's instructions and go to the lake house alone. On the way, I opened the envelope and found a key and a letter. The letter told me to go to his study in the lake house, where I would find answers. When I arrived at the lake house, much to my dismay, my parents and Lily had also come. They pushed their way in, with my mother complaining about the stuffiness of the house and my father looking for items of value. I ignored them and made my way to Grandpa's study. Inside the study, I found a framed photo of a young grandpa in front of a building called Thompson Innovations. I had never heard of it before. As I was examining it, Lily came over and asked what it was. My father, when he heard the name, seemed to be hiding something. On the desk, there was a sheet of paper with a series of numbers and the question, "Where did it all begin?" I realized it was a puzzle. While searching the desk drawer, I found a leather-bound book with records of Grandpa's early investments. The final entry said, "The truth is in the foundation. Look beneath the surface." I also found a small chess piece, a knight. When I twisted it, a hidden compartment opened, revealing a key and a note that said, "Second letter in the floor safe. Combination, date of betrayal." As I was trying to figure out what this meant, I noticed an old newspaper clipping about Thompson Innovations selling its patent to a large tech company, or Ion Technologies, for a fraction of its worth. My mother dismissed it as an old, unimportant venture, but I dug deeper. I found out that my father, who was handling some legal work for the company at the time, had advised Grandpa to sell due to a supposed competing patent. 6 months later, Ion Technologies launched a highly successful product line using Grandpa's design, making billions. And to make matters worse, my mother was working in Orion's acquisitions department at that time. I put the pieces together and realized that my parents had orchestrated the sale of Grandpa's company for financial gain, betraying him in the process. The next morning, I called Mr. Harris to confirm my suspicions. He told me that Grandpa had discovered the truth 5 years ago and had restructured his entire estate plan. I drove back to the lake house, ready to confront my family. When I arrived, they were discussing how to profit from the property. I confronted them about Thompson Innovations, and the shock on their faces was evident. Just then, a courier arrived with a special delivery envelope for me. Inside was a letter from Grandpa. He said that the will reading was a test of character, and the true distribution of his estate would depend on how each of us behaved during this process. Mr. Harris then arrived with a notary and witnesses. He played a video recorded in the lake house, showing my parents' greedy and dishonest behavior over the past week. He explained that Grandpa had installed recording devices to see our true colors. I was given the choice of whether to pursue legal action against my parents for fraud or to implement the alternative inheritance plan. After much thought, I decided not to pursue criminal charges. Instead, I chose to implement the plan where the majority of Grandpa's fortune, around $24 million, would be placed in a trust that I would oversee. The trust was designed to fund environmental conservation efforts, educational opportunities, and ethical business investments. My parents were initially furious and threatened to contest the will, but they soon realized that Grandpa had anticipated every legal challenge, and contesting would mean everything going to charity. Lily, on the other hand, surprised me. She finally admitted that she was tired of the lies and the constant pressure to be perfect. She agreed to the conditions I set, which included honesty, accountability, family counseling, and community service with environmental organizations for my parents. In the months that followed, the journey was tough. I struggled with the decision I made, constantly questioning if I had done the right thing. But with the help of therapy, I began to heal. My parents initially resisted the conditions, but gradually, something changed. My father started to show interest in the environmental projects he was involved in through community service, and my mother, after some time, opened up during family counseling sessions. Lily also changed. She reduced her work hours and started volunteering with the Foundation's educational initiatives. She discovered a talent for teaching financial literacy to underprivileged students. Today, as I stand here at the lake house, Looking at the progress of the foundation, I realized that Grandpa Leo's final lesson was about truth, integrity, and the courage to stand up for what's right. True wealth, as he always said, isn't in money or property, but in the ability to live an authentic life and make a positive impact on the world. Have you ever had an experience that made you question the people you thought you knew well? I'd love to hear your stories.